Welcome to Solutions with Courtney Anderson. I am your host and guide, Courtney Anderson. This is episode number 154, episode 154 of our program, and it is one of the series of the Myth Warriors shows. So, of course, our Myth Warriors series is all about us examining our lives and the decisions that we're making because we are constantly working to meet and surpass our goals. As we're doing that, we need to make sure that we're getting good information, good data, right? If we have bad information, often we'll make bad choices, right? I don't know if it's going to rain outside. Why don't I check and see what the credible weather source says? Do I need an umbrella? These are types of things that it may sound really simple. Well, yeah, of course you're going to check and see. Do you need a coat? Is it cold? Is it rainy? Is it hot? But that idea of checking to find out with good information, good data, what I'm supposed to do is really important. And as Myth Warriors, we're looking to see basically the same type idea. I need to know what the weather is. I need to better understand if this is a good idea or a bad idea. I need to make a decision about my job or my personal life or my health. So we're looking in this series at different concepts and topics, and we're trying to figure out, hey, look, we're warriors. We're not sitting around somewhere passively waiting for somebody else to tell us what to do or take control of our choices in our lives. No, we're making decisions. We're powerful people. So we're warriors, and we're out there proactively and assertively, both simultaneously defending ourselves, right, against things that are inaccurate, that are poor information. And we're also getting out there and we're on the offense. We're going to go test and poke and prod different ideas to find out, hey, is this something I should potentially use to make decisions? So when we look at this concept, again, it's similar to I want to know, if I need an umbrella or a rain coat. Is it going to rain? I could look and see a credible source that'll tell me based on most likely scientific assessments of the atmosphere, a satellite imaging to see what the weather systems are, predictive analysis to find out, there's a 70% chance that it's going to rain on the next hour. Or I could say to myself, well, let me call that friend I knew when I was 9 years old who said they have, sort of special feelings sometimes about the weather. Let me call them even though, they live 4,000 miles away, and I'll just sort of ask them, what do they think? Do they get a feeling? Do they feel like it's going to rain today where I live? I could do that. Or I could just sort of check and see what is the sort of credible data source tell me based on measurements of the atmospheric conditions. So it's honestly that type of process that we're applying to different questions, concerns, topics. So today, here in episode 154, and of course I do encourage you to go to CourtneyAnderson.com. We are constantly adding new material, and we have an entire show page dedicated to this episode where you'll find links to the material that I talk about. You'll also find our show sponsor information, and of course we are thrilled. This show has gotten to episode 154. It is growing exponentially, and it's so much fun. And so we're now making it more of a centerpiece to a lot of our business process, and we're bringing on board these fantastic relationships with sponsors so that we can keep everything absolutely no charge for anyone to access, download, share. We just want to find a way to spread information and partner with great organizations to help us have financial viability. So make sure you visit CourtneyAnderson.com. And this is again episode 154. It's a Myth Warrior series show. And what's our topic? Okay. Our topic is why the smartest thing you can say is, I don't know. Why the smartest thing you can say is, I don't know. I don't know. I do not know. I do not know. I don't know. This this show topic is one of those that when I was preparing, working through the show notes and looking at the schedule for For shows, I just thought, yes, please. What a wonderful show topic. And again, so many of our show topics come from you, community members. So that's one of the things also while you're on CourtneyAnderson.com, you're looking at all of the different podcasts, articles that we have, and links to other resources, our television video program, all the things that we're expanding and bringing in more courses and seminars. Please send us your questions and concerns because so many of these great show topics come from you, and this is again one of them where I thought, yeah, this is this is a really really important show topic. Why the smartest thing you can say is, I don't know. Let's discuss. Is that a myth? Is it a lie, a falsehood, a trick? Is it not true? Is it not true at all? The smartest thing I can say is I don't know. Or, and the alternative, is it potentially something that I could credibly make a decision on and think, oh, wait a minute. Perhaps when I don't know something, I should say, I don't know. Let's talk. When you come to the show page, again, episode 154, CourtneyAnderson.com, what you're going to see are a couple of links. And of course, the first thing I think when I said I got so excited looking at the show schedule when I saw this topic is, yes, it is so frustrating when you're having interactions with people, right? You're communicating, you're talking, you're writing, you're trying to share knowledge or just problem solve, right? And the person doesn't know. And you know that they don't know. Okay, so you're having communication with somebody and you know that they don't know what they're talking about, right? That is really frustrating and difficult. So just from sort of that sort of layperson standard, I would think, yeah, why does this happen? What is it? All right. So, quick example. A couple months ago, I was having problems with my utilities, the internet access, and so I called the local company that provides the internet access to my home office, and I was like, okay, this is the problem. And so they sent out, one person, a technical person to come and sort of supposedly to fix it. Well, the person came and they went and sort of, changed out a piece of equipment, right? Changed out the modem. Okay. Sure enough, right after they leave, the same problem's happening. So then they send out another technical person. Technical person says, okay, and they're going to do the same thing, right? They're going to change out the modem. I'm standing there saying, look, this has been done. And so my suspicion is that that's probably not the problem. We could keep doing this forever, just keep changing out modems. But if we keep having the exact same problem, when you problem solve, that's what you do, right? Trial and error. I'm going to try this. Oh, well, I'm still having the problem. So clearly it wasn't that, right? So I'm standing there getting frustrated because I need this to get fixed. And I know the person doesn't know what to do. They don't know. All they know is I'm going to try this one thing, which is the same thing the other people already tried. And it's really frustrating because you're trying to get something done and you think, why don't they just say, I don't know? And call a supervisor or somebody who's like the specialist, and just say to me, hey, look, I don't know. But they won't do that, right? And you'll see this when you're trying to get something done just in your life, right? Where someone doesn't know, and they don't know, and they're just sort of keep doing it anyway or saying it. You'll see it in sort of social situations where it's not related to, like a work thing. So when you're trying to get something done at somebody else's job, that's a work thing, right? I need you to help me with my utilities. Can you help me with my dry cleaning? Whatever. It's still there at work. I've seen it in socially where you're just talking to somebody socially and you mention something, right? And they clearly don't know what it is you're talking about. And yet they keep going with the conversation, trying to pretend, I guess, that they do know. The challenge with that, again, is if I know that you don't know, then it's just really uncomfortable. And it's annoying. It's annoying when it's a situation that's a work thing, like I'm trying to, have you help me, purchase something or get something fixed or, do something with your business, right? I'm trying to get you to help me repair my car or help me with my, whatever. And you don't know. But instead of you saying you don't know, you want to sit around and start to pretend like you know in a way that's wasting my time and resources because I know this isn't going to work because we already tried this. So That's annoying, but it's weird too when you're talking to somebody socially, right? You're talking to somebody socially and they don't know. But instead of saying they don't know, they just start saying and pretending like they do know. But it's so obvious. It's so obvious, because it might be something that you actually do know. You have the knowledge or the experience and you're thinking, that's not right. That's not right at all. Or they'll use a word, right? And they'll talk about something and they're describing totally the wrong thing. And it's just so weird. Why don't you just say, I don't know? So the question is this concept? The concept is why the smartest thing you can say is, I don't know. Is that accurate, right? Or is it, in the alternative, a myth? Is it a lie? Is it not accurate? So I had a conversation with someone socially, and I was talking about, traveling, in some places I'd been and some places I want to go. And of course, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. We're going to actually debut a new series here on the show focusing on different travel issues and different things related to that. Partially because I have a lot of travel experience. I used to travel, in my heaviest years of travel, I traveled close to 300 days a year. So all over different parts of the world. And it's also something when it's not, and that was for work. But even when it's not for work, I just think it's fun and exciting to get out and learn about your world, right? And learn about yourself and explore new ideas and experiences and environments and cultures and all that stuff. Okay, all that's to say this. So I was having a social conversation with someone, and I may be somewhat extreme, but it's all relative, right? Some people would say, who on earth would travel that much? It's a lot of traveling. And other people who travel more than I do would say that's nothing. You did that. You've done that for a couple years. I've done that for decades. It's all relative. Okay. So we were talking and I was saying something about I was going to go to London. Okay. To London, England. And the person said something like, yeah, oh yeah, me too. I really want to go there so I can go to the Eiffel Tower. Now in my mind, I thought, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like the Eiffel Tower is not in London at all. It's in a different country. It's in France. It's in a different city in a different country. It's in Paris. Here's the deal. It doesn't even matter that the person hasn't been to these places and hasn't read enough or had enough interest to learn these things because not everybody knows the same thing. That really wasn't the point. The point was that the person should have just said, yeah, I've never been there and I really don't know anything about it. I don't know. Instead of pretending like they knew something and making the statement that was just so far off base for someone who does know. It just was odd. And there's all kinds of examples about this. I could sit here and go through, I don't even know how many, because I hear all the time I encounter stuff like this. Somebody really has not a clue what they're talking about, right? But they just won't admit that. So they just start saying things, using vocabulary words that just don't make any sense. And I don't know. And again, the question is that an intelligent, smart thing you do or not? My argument and my interpretation of this is that this is not a myth at all. It is not a myth. It is credible. It is accurate. The smartest thing you can say is, I do not know. That is, I hate to use this word, true, but we'll just use it. It is true. The smartest thing you can say is, I don't know. Why is that smart? Well, I was just alluding to and trying to just describe. If you don't know and you're talking to somebody else who knows, then they know you don't know. The only way it works when you don't know what you're talking about and you start pretending like you do is if the other people you're talking to have not, they're pretending to. So if the person I had talked to socially and was telling me that the Eiffel Tower was in London, England, if I also had no understanding and I thought the Eiffel Tower was in Los Angeles, California in the United States, then if they said that about it being in London and I'm thinking it's in Los Angeles, then we probably are going to have no conflict, because I honestly have no clue. They have no clue either. So they're just sort of randomly saying things, and then I'm thinking, I don't know, I'm randomly saying things too. So there's not going to be any stress. The stress and the anxiety and the frustration, like I said earlier, comes when one party does have an information advantage, and the one party actually does know, right? Like, we've already tried this, so it's wrong, or that's not what the map shows, or that's incorrect in terms of your geography, or you're absolutely incorrect in terms of your math, or, like a fact, right? So that only rises when one person actually does know, when there's an information, disparity. I'm guessing a couple of things. Here's the thing. I say in so many of these programs, right? I say in so many of the programs, I say in so many of the speeches and corporate training and the things that I write, I will say, and I don't know. Because when I don't know, guess what I say? I don't know. I'll talk about the part that I have some knowledge. I'll talk about where I got the knowledge, so you can go look at my sources and see if you think my sources are credible, and we can have a discussion or analysis of my line of analysis, right? And I'll tell you why I think what I think and how I came to that conclusion. But when I don't have any idea at all, I'll say to you, I don't know. And then I'll go try to find out. So if someone mentions something to me that I don't know, I will say, I don't know. And this happens a lot because I have some information about a few areas, very few, but I don't know a lot about most things in the world, right? So if someone's talking to me about fashion or something like that, I don't often know the thing that they're talking about. Like I'm not aware of the brand or the fancy, clothes or shoes or something they're describing because it's not something that I do. I don't know anything about that professionally. I've never worked in that field. And then secondly, just on my own free time, I don't really spend a lot of time investigating that. I try to find something that that I think looks okay when I wear it, but I don't know much about, the rest of that field. So if someone's describing something and they're talking about something, I'll say, hi. Can you help me understand? Exactly what is that? I don't really know what that is, or I've never heard of that thing. Because here's the thing, if they actually know what they're talking about, or even if they know a little bit of what they're talking about, and I know nothing, anything that I do to pretend like I know what I'm talking about is going to, it's going to unveil the fact that I am a complete idiot. And not only am I an idiot in this area, which is fine, an idiot, I don't know anything. I'm also an imposter. It's one thing for someone to say, I really don't know. Most of the time, their response to that will be, oh, okay, well, let me talk to you about it. Most people love to give you information. So if I was talking to someone and they said, oh, I've never been to London, is that where the Eiffel Tower is? I would have said, oh, no, that's a good question because it's sort of close, it's Europe. And I would have sort of explained, not exactly, and talked about where. Because if you don't know, then you don't know. And how will you learn? How will you ever learn anything if you never get good information? You'll just be walking around all the time not knowing anything, and because you refuse to ask people for information that are credible or to go out on your own and utilize credible sources to actually get good information, you just walk around forever with no information. You just have these random thoughts that aren't logical and aren't accurate. But because you don't ever say anything to ask somebody, it's such that you're in this vicious loop of lack of knowledge coupled with then you put yourself in situations where people who do have knowledge are 1,000% aware. And I know that's an inaccurate mathematical assertion, but I'm trying to say, look, you're not fooling anyone. You are not fooling anyone at all because the people who do know completely know. Now, often what happens is the person who knows gets frustrated and is thinking, what on earth? Why don't they just, that's ridiculous. Not that the person who said that or thinks that themselves is a ridiculous person, but that concept is just not accurate. And instead of the person admitting that they're not sure and they don't know, they just get out there and pretend like it's real. And everyone who knows is sitting there thinking, why are they doing that? That's weird, right? Not knowing something is universal. All of us are in situations where we don't know. You could talk to somebody who's the most accomplished, famous musician in the world. Everybody knows them. They've won every award. They're world-known, world-renowned as a famous musician. You may talk to them about some other subject and they don't know because not everybody is going to know everything about everything in the world. That would be very difficult. People have areas of interest, right, where they know a lot. They have other areas where they know a little, and they've got a ton of stuff where they know nothing. If you ask me about the politics in a certain town in Montana, I don't know who the mayor is of every town in the world. I know some of the mayors of maybe towns I've lived in or that I work in or that I really am interested in or that are large centers of either business or commerce or areas again that I personally just enjoy. But I don't know every city in the whole world and all of the mayors. So why not just say, I don't know? If you sit there and you pretend like you know, it just is this huge weird message to the party who does know something, like, what's wrong with you? And because most people in most cultures are so still feel so uncomfortable in that moment, they're not going to say to you, well, that's totally wrong, because that makes them uncomfortable, right? So what most people will do is just try to change the subject as quickly as possible. But now they have this impression of you that you're someone who has a totally normal situation where you don't know something, which is normal. I don't know most things. You don't know most things. We won't. Nobody does know everything. But instead of just saying, hey, I don't know, can you tell me about that? And then people will tell you. You're going to sit there and pretend like you know. And again, it could be something seemingly innocuous, right? I went to dinner with a friend, and she was talking about she was going to a concert, to a music concert for, I think, to celebrate, with her birthday with her husband. And so I was like, oh, and she mentioned the concert they were going to. I don't know who that is. So I said to her, well, tell me about that. I don't know that performer. What kind of music is it? And she was happy to do that. She was happy to. Remember, when people know stuff, they're usually really happy to talk to you about it. It's not like if you say to them, I don't know, they're going to say to you, what? You don't know. You don't know. Now, does that happen sometimes? Yes. Does it happen especially when you're younger? I know as a young kid, child and 10 years old or 12 years old or whatever, 15 years old, there's a lot of that with young people. You don't know? You never heard of that band? What's wrong with you? You're not cool, right? Or whatever the word is. You're not hot, or whatever it is. You don't know what's going on, right? So there is a lot of that in sort of developmental and adolescent time periods, right? But we're adults. First of all, you have the right to define yourself however you want to define yourself. If you love travel, great. If you hate travel, great. If you love, classical music, great. If you hate classical music, great. If you love studying geography, great. If you hate geography, great. Whatever. You have the right. When you talk to other people, or you're interacting with other people, or communicating with other people in writing or something, and you don't know, just say, I don't know. It's not, and you don't say it aggressively. Just say, hey, I really don't know. Can you explain that to me? Can you fill me in with that? I don't know. I've never heard of that, or I'm not really sure I know what that is, or it sounds familiar, but I'm not really clear. Just say that. Now, in some businesses that are especially information based, right? Like practicing law, for example, that's everything. I've, been in courtrooms where I do know. That's the whole job of being a lawyer, is to understand the law, understand the most recent interpretations of the law, what the court rulings are, and then to go in there with an information advantage and use it against the other party, right? If they don't know and you know, that could be the difference between winning and losing. When you're looking at knowledge, it's an ongoing process. So maybe you knew something, a while ago, but there's been some updates to it and you don't know those. So just ask people. I don't know. And as so much of this, my inclination is that so much of this is based on confidence and self-esteem, and this whole idea of people wanting so much and desperately to, quote, fit in and have other people, quote, like them, and this lack of self-confidence. You have to understand, it's universal. Every single person is going to have something they don't know. And I think sometimes people think, well, I don't want anybody to think I don't know this thing, so I'll just sit here and pretend like I do. But again, they do know, so they know you're pretending, so you've made this disaster situation. Not knowing something is normal. Pretending like you know something you don't know is abnormal and gets you really bad outcomes, because everybody's thinking, I know that that's wrong, and they can't figure it out. Are you playing? Are you joking? Like, do you really know, but you're kidding? You're being funny? Or if you're serious, what are you talking about? And are you so arrogant that you think that that's right, even though it's obviously not? I mean, it triggers all of these really negative perceptions, where if you just say to someone, hey, that sounds really interesting. What is that again? Or that I've never heard of that word. Just say you don't know. Ask the person. And a couple of things are going to happen. Sometimes the person you're talking to themselves doesn't know, and they were just pretending and lying. So when you ask them, they're really going to be stuck because they can't even explain it, because they don't even know themselves. Fine. The other thing is, if they do know a little bit, they'll start to tell you what they do know, or they'll tell you what they base this information on. And that'll help you guys both begin to be able to do what? Learn. Everything that we're discussing in this, everything in the show, but definitely in the Myth Warriors series, we're trying to figure out, how do I make decisions? And I gave that easy example earlier. Do I take a raincoat? Do I take an umbrella? Well, no, you're not going to take it if there's not going to be any rain. Then why are you wearing a raincoat? That looks weird, unless it's some sort of fashion statement. And if you're going to go out without the raincoat and umbrella and in a storm and be doused and be wet, and why are you doing this? You have to get information. Now, it may be observational information where you literally have access to open up a window and look outside. Oh, okay, it's raining. I'm going to bring my umbrella. And if you don't have that, maybe you're somewhere without access to windows or access to see what's going on outside, then you're going to try to look and find good data. What does the news, you know, weather report tell you? Look online. What's the prediction today? Is it going to rain? This isn't anything weird. You now just accept the basic universal reality that we all are in situations the majority of life that we don't know. I don't know. You need to have enough confidence in who you are and understand that it is normal and healthy to say, I don't know. That's why the show episode title is why the smartest thing you can say is I don't know, because it shows how smart you are. You're smart enough to recognize, A, it's universal. It is universal that people don't know. Everybody's in that situation frequently. And secondly, you're smart enough to know what you don't know and to tell people. And most importantly, by you saying to somebody, I don't know, you show them that you're smart. You show them that you're honest. And then you do the most wonderful thing you could do, is you give yourself the opportunity to actually learn. Right? So I say, hey, look, hey, I've never heard of that band, or I've never heard of that word. What kind of food is that? I've never heard of that. I've never had that or eaten that. Does that taste good? I've never been to that place. Where is that place? Can you tell me about that? How interesting. I don't know what you're talking about exactly. Is that some sort of a clothing design or designer? Can you tell me about that? Or I don't know that term. I don't know a lot about engineering. Can you talk to me and explain that to me? Or I'm not really sure I understand what you're saying about this idea. I'm not sure what that vocabulary word is. Can you explain that to me? You see, I'm showing you that I'm smart enough to know that I don't know, and I'm honest enough to tell you. Now people are like, wow, okay. Everyone understands universally that we all are in situations that we don't know. So that's normal. The fact that you are honest about this and have the confidence and the respect for information and the respect for other people. See, when you do that thing where you pretend, right, and you use words you don't know what they mean, and you talk about things that you have not a clue, then it's disrespectful to people. Because like I said, they're going to either wonder, are you joking? Are you kidding around or playing a game? And if you're not, do you think they're stupid? Do you think they're that dumb? That they don't know that if it's something that they do know? Are you trying to insult them? It's disrespectful. So the easiest, smartest, most honest thing you could do is just say, hey, that's really interesting, but what does that word mean again? I don't know. You show you're smart. You show you're honest. You show you respect the other people. And you open up the opportunity to actually take in new information and learn something that's useful. Wow. This is a win, win, win. I have a couple of show links on the CoreyAnderson.com episode 154 page. So please come there. And one of the quotes is it's from an author of a book. And the book is entitled and talking about, people who don't know. And it's an NPR interview, right? And so the quote there in the show page is from the author who wrote the book about people who don't know. It says, I think those words can be incredibly liberating. And the words they're talking about are the words, I don't know. And the author goes on to tell the interviewer and says, they can just make your shoulders drop with relief. Once you finally own up to what you don't know, then you can begin to have honest interactions with the people around you. Honesty. Again, people think all kinds of things negatively when they see you pretending to know something that they know you don't know. And none of them, again, are positive. They either think you're trying to play a trick on them or a joke, or you're trying to be funny, or you're disrespectful, or you're so arrogant, or have some, such hubris that you honestly think that that's accurate. Whatever it is, it's not positive. And all of it is dishonest because it's based on a lie. The lie is that you don't know and you're pretending like you do. That's a lie. So when you lie to people, it's not well received, lying to people. And we know this. We know this in every level of who we are. And yet you're doing it. You're lying. Why are you lying and saying and pretending like you know something when you don't know it? Stop lying. If I had a show for Myth Warrior series that was entitled "Lying is smart," you would say, "Well, no, lying is stupid." In many instances, now there are people who are going to argue with me and say, "Well, no, you fake it till you make it," and we have other programs where we delve into these ideas a little bit more. Here's the deal: you can try to fake. Well, all right. You can try to fake confidence, but you're not going to be able to fake data. In other words, faking it till you make it, which again, we're going to have another show, is the idea that, hey, I'm not really totally confident in my, in seeing myself as this professional or seeing myself in this job position. Okay. So I'm going to go in there and just feel and just put out there that like, hey, why not me, right? Like I'm the best police officer ever. The reality though is you have to have you have to have the data to back this up. So you may be a little bit insecure in seeing yourself in this new position, this new job, this new role. Maybe, gotten married or, started a new role and you feel like, oh, am I really dad? Am I really mom? I'm trying to get there, right? To see yourself in that role. But the thing is you need to have the information and the data. So you may feel like, oh, I'm not really feeling yet that I'm a police officer, but you need to have gone through your training and learn how to do your job so you know what the task is. You need to know the data. You're not going to be able to fake the actual job. You may be able to fake the confidence and the persona for a little bit of time, but you need to have that backed up with data. If you really don't know your data and information and someone's asking you, hey, police officer, what law was that again? And you're thinking, oh, I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't pay attention. I can't remember any of my job. You're in deep trouble and you're a liar. And everyone who knows what anything is going to be, again, have this really negative feedback to your concept of pretending like you know when you don't know, because everyone else who knows you don't know. And now they either think you're being, again, you just have this huge narcissistic ego, or you're being some sort of a jokester, or you're trying to be funny, or you're just dishonest and a liar. And all of these are negative. There's not a single positive thing that's going to happen from you getting up there and pretending like you know something you don't know and lying. It's not a good thing at all. The only thing that I think people think is, oh, well, if I don't know, it's like gambling, right? I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. But I'm not 100% sure they know either. So I'm going to throw it out there and see, what the response is. And again, that's not going to work because most of the time, the person who knows is not going to directly confront you in some sort of, aggressive way and say, you're totally off and wrong. That's not at all right. That's the wrong information. Most people aren't going to do that because they're uncomfortable. And they're not sure what you're doing psychologically. Again, is it a game? Is it some sort of, passive aggressive manipulation? Do you have an ego that's that big? And sometimes you may be in a situation where you're the one that's the power broker in the setting. Maybe you're in charge of the meeting. Maybe you're the leader of the group. And so they're sitting there and they know you're wrong and that you don't know and that you're lying, but they're not going to say anything to you because of the power imbalance. So there's all kinds of reasons that are why that you're not going to get held accountable and called out for being dishonest and lying most of the time. And that, I think, reinforces in people's mind the lack of somebody being confronted. I think makes them feel like, oh, well, I got away with it, right? I lied and pretended like I knew something I don't know, but no one screamed at me or confronted me with data. So I'll just keep doing it. This is really, really, really counterproductive. And to me, it's analogous to, that's the argument of somebody who is some other, somebody's they're a thief, so they steal, and they stole from their friend, and they stole from their neighbor, but nobody caught them yet. So I guess they think, well, I'll just keep doing this because so far I've been confronted. You got away with it, right? In your mind. The thing is, you haven't gotten away with it because the victim does know or will know that eventually, like, I was robbed, that someone stole from me. And finally, if you keep doing this more often than not, you'll get caught. And even if you don't get caught, what kind of life is that? And again, you'll be surprised how many people will do things and other people will actually know that they did it. Especially people who steal from families. You see this a lot with people who have substance abuse problems and get caught up in really maladaptive behavior. They often steal from the people closest to them that are easiest to steal from. Your family, your friends, your roommate, your spouse. your kids, your parents, so that people know who the thief is. It's you, because who else would it be? And you've done this before. But often they love you. They're never going to stop loving you. And this encourages people and reinforces this negative behavior where you just keep doing these really really negative outcome type behaviors. And my argument is it's a similar analogy. The smartest thing you can say is I don't know. Now, I think some people say, well, it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed. Other people were using those words. They were talking about those things. I was embarrassed. I wanted them to think I knew it. Here's the thing. You don't know it. Now, if you said to me, I was embarrassed, people were talking about those things, using those words, and I would like to know what those words are and what those things are, that's a totally different question. If you pursue the knowledge, which starts with you owning up and saying to people, again, a universal, normal, healthy thing, I don't know. Other people will start to give you some information. Some of it may be good data, good credible source information. Some of it may just be their own poor information that where they don't even exactly know totally what it is. But you might get a good start. And then you need to go out and seek out good information and data. Look at a map. The dictionary is your friend. I see this a lot. Certainly, I've seen this over my career in teaching for, almost 2 decades now, where I'm grading something a student submits, and I'm clearly reading what they're saying, and they don't know what a vocabulary word means. How do I know that? Because they've used the word in a way that doesn't make any sense. And the thing is, the person who knows what the vocabulary words means looks and sees something that is gibberish, right? The vocabulary word doesn't make any sense. So if somebody writes a sentence and says something like, my favorite month of the year is purple, green, orange. Well, purple, green, orange is not a month. I know that. So people do this all the time. And again, I've seen this over almost 20 years and reading and looking at different submissions. Here's the easy thing about this. You don't know what the word means, then look it up. The dictionary is your friend. A map is your friend. Just do that. One of the things I do want to mention that we have another program that delves more deeply into this idea is that one of the things that causes the challenge where people refuse to do the smart, honest, healthy thing and say, I don't know, is what's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And again, we have another program on this. The Dunning-Kruger effect is basically the idea that incompetent people do not know that they're incompetent. And this is a powerful idea. So a lot of the problem is somebody thinks that they do know what the word means. They actually don't even know they don't know. Or they really do think that the Eiffel Tower is in London. They really believe that. Now, where they got that information from, who knows? Obviously, it's not anything credible. But they don't know they don't know. So that opens up a whole nother challenge because you can't do the smartest thing. The smartest thing is to say, I don't know, because a lot of times the person who doesn't know thinks they do know. Right? Incompetent people do not know they are incompetent. That's why they're incompetent. And that's what Dunning-Kruger that's the same for the scientists who did the research on this. It's fascinating because it actually makes it's one of those things where you read the scientific results and you think, well, that reinforces my own bias that I had already. And also, though, assuming that it might be credible information, because it makes sense, right? You think, well, that does make sense. If I actually don't know anything, but I don't know. Like in my mind, whatever I believe, whatever I thought, whatever I was told or heard or thought I knew, if that to me is what I believe to be a fact, then I can't say I don't know because in my mind, I'm 100% or 50% or 51% or 3,000%, whatever their perception is. If in your mind you really believe that's accurate, then it's really difficult then to have a discussion. Because you can't say I don't know because you think you do know. And and that opens up again this whole challenge because you can't be the smart person and say I don't know because you honestly think you do know. How do you guard against that? Well, the research shows us part of it is that people who are trying to educate, so for educators, teachers, scholars, authors, one of the things you can do is try to literally show people what the real thing is, right? So if somebody's telling you that this, so and so city is the capital of a country, and that's not true, then you need to get them a credible source. Here's a globe, here's a map. Like seriously, look, this is credible. and then show it to them and then teach them. That's part of it. And there's special ways that you're gonna have to try to teach them so that they can begin to overcome, and so that they can begin to understand what the real factual perception is and how far away they are from that. So that's one challenge. The problem, though, is you're having a social conversation with somebody, then you're not teaching them, you're just hanging out with them, or maybe you're trying to get them to help fix your car. It's not that type of setting. So when you come up against the incompetent person who doesn't know they're incompetent, you're in deep trouble, because they don't know. And how are you going to then be able to invest in helping them? I'm arguing in this show, which is all about our myth warriors, why the smartest thing you can say is I don't know, is that we individually have a responsibility to guard against being that person, being the person who doesn't know, and then having some sort of inappropriate delusion that we do know. How do you guard against it? That's where you need to go and get factual information. Again, so many of our other programs, I have dictionary definitions. One, because we need to go to the dictionary and see what the definition is. And so many of us don't even know. We just think we do. Look it up. Look it up. Now, that also presupposes that somebody understands where they're going to look it up. Because somebody will say, well, I did look it up. I went on the internet and I went to a website that anybody can edit. Or I went to a discussion, where people, were saying just all kind of stuff about this, and that's what they said. Well, who are those people? I don't know. So when I say look it up, you got to know where you're going to look it up, and is it a credible source? Is it like, looking it up to see what the weather report is at a trusted, professional, credible weather service? Oh, this is what the satellite imagery shows. Here's what the prediction is for the weather today in terms of rain. Or is it me calling up somebody who lives 4,000 miles away that was a friend, when I was a little kid, who said they have special feelings, like their bones feel a certain way when it's going to rain in different cities. Yeah, both of those are looking it up. But one of them is looking it up when you're going to have a higher probability of a credible outcome, right? The scientific satellite imagery interpreted by the meteorological professional, and the other one is some person who's nowhere near where I am and who just goes by sort of a feeling in their gut or their bones. You have to be able to assess, are those those sources? Which source is more likely to give you good information? If you're getting bad information, you're going to make bad choices. That's the saying, garbage in, garbage out. So as we come to a conclusion, wrapping up point here of episode 154 of Solutions with Courtney Anderson, I did encourage you to come to CourtneyAnderson.com, come to the show page where you can read all about this Myth Warrior series show. Why the smartest thing you can say is, I don't know. That is not a myth. That is an accurate statement. And I am begging you to start saying, I don't know more often. Even if you think you might know, just say, I don't know. Because you could say, oh, I'm not really sure. Can you remind me? What does that mean again? Or I'm not really, that word, what does that word mean again? And they'll tell you. Now, guess what? If they actually do know, and you were maybe right, but you weren't sure, and you asked, and now they confirmed, and you believe they're a credible source, now you learn something. And one of the show note quotes that you'll see on the show page is from the Freakonomics. Freakonomics is a book. And it was so popularly received, and there's so much. And I read the book, and we have other programs we talk about a little bit more in depth. But the Freakonomics website has a podcast, of course, which is awesome. And there's they're discussing this, right? They're discussing this idea about you don't know, right? Why is it so hard to say I don't know? And one of the authors of the book, and also one of the podcast sources, has this quote, and it's on the show page there. It says, and I found it's really one of the most destructive factors in business is that everyone masquerades like they know the answer, and no one will ever admit they don't know the answer, and it makes it almost impossible to learn. So there were two quotes that I referenced that are on the show page with links, so you can go read the source material that I found that where they're from. But they talked about two main things that I kept repeating in this program. One, that it's honest to say I don't know, and that when you pretend you know and you really don't know, that you're lying, right? And that's the book that the author interview on NPR. And the second thing is this idea about learning. How on earth are you ever going to get new information if you just keep sitting somewhere with no information and no investment in yourself to get out there and get more information. Again, you could get in more information by looking it up in a dictionary. Go into your thesaurus if you're looking for a similar term. Go to your map, go to your globe, go to your, now you can go and access satellite imagery straight from many of these governmental sources right there. Oh, okay, there it is. I see the satellite of my geographic area that I'm interested in. This is what the weather pattern looks like. All of this is so accessible. But you have to be able to discern between something that's a source where they're giving you something that might be accurate and these other things where it's not. It's the equivalent of some random, gossip. And you need to be able to tell the difference. And again, you'll never be able to move forward to meeting, surpassing, and sustaining, surpassing your goals if you don't have any good information. You can't learn anything if you refuse to learn. And so that's why saying I don't know is the beginning potentially of opening up this fantastic opportunity to learn something new. I learned something new. The cliche is you learn something new every day. I probably learn something new every hour because there's so much I don't know, and I don't know. So again, please go to the show page for episode 154. And please, please, please investigate for yourself, but see if you agree with my assertion that the smartest thing you can say is, I don't know. That's absolutely not a myth. It is accurate. Please be honest. Please, please, please invest in learning. Knowledge, it's again, cliche. Knowledge is power. True, but it is. Show people how smart you are. It's normal. It's healthy. Every single person on this planet is in multiple situations all the time where they don't know because that's just life. Nobody knows everything. So all you have to do is say, I don't know. And again, if some of what I referred to with that Dunning-Kruger, where you don't even know what you don't know, then take advantage and access that program. And we're going to put together some courses to deal with that too, because that, of course, is a huge obstacle if you don't even know what you don't know. But let's err on the side of if you think there's even a tiniest bit that you're not sure, then just say, I don't know. Again, let us know what you think of your feedback. If you have any show topic ideas or suggestions, please leave a rating on iTunes or reviews for us, and share this on social media. Help us do everything possible to get the program out there and share knowledge. And thank you. I'm so grateful and appreciative. I also would ask you again to support our show sponsors. We have an entire sponsor showcase section on the CourtneyAnderson.com. You can see all the different sponsors. We're constantly working to improve the sponsors that'll best work with you and provide service and quality to helping you meet and surpass your goals. And the two sponsors I would highlight for this show are about knowledge. So if you honestly, you need to read some sort of media on a, I would argue, as frequently basis as you can. Sort of the idea of your morning newspaper, right? Like what's going on in the world? Even if you just scan the headline. So wherever you are in the world, there's large global media outlets. You can go just scan that. One of the ones that is very good, I think, at making things digestible and a big overview, USA Today is a show sponsor. Is also a link on the show page. And then, of course, we've got another show sponsor, Pearson, which is an educational materials and sources and references, and they have a link for free ebook and reduced prices on content for sources and text. So access those from our show page, of course. And the thing is, please, please, please empower yourself. Be honest and open up the opportunity for learning. They're beautiful, wonderful, powerful words to say, I don't know. Practice it and then just use it. I think you'll be really impressed with the response you get. I think you really, really will. Thank you for joining me today, and I appreciate you for being part of the program.